Welcome back to the channel, everyone. The reason I do this video today is to teach you about some of the things that have been washed away in time, and as time goes on will only get more and more diluted and forgotten about, and the industry will get worse and worse in time. So let me start with discussing something and someone really close to my heart. First, let me start by telling you about this beautiful place. There's a little place in the world nestled between India and Nepal called the Himalayas. I spent many years travelling around this region and surrounding regions, and near there is a place called Pradesh where some of the best charas hash comes from in the whole world, and there's nowhere else where any human can feel peace and be protected as much or more naturally than the Himalayas. I want to discuss someone who gave me a lot of passion in my life and kept me striving, and I finally came up with my own online business years ago, helping others get things for wholesale cost as everything is just too expensive. I did this to help others get things and save them money. The man I owe this love to in this industry, a lot of passion, comes from Franco Casalone. You owe it to yourself to learn all about this man. Hands down, I can tell you to this day, there is nobody that shares his passion quite like him. We all strive to be as knowledgeable as him, as this beautiful soul. This is about the life of a true connoisseur, an in-depth biography. Chapter 1. The seed is planted, 1959 to 1970s. Monferrato, Italy, a land of rolling hills, vineyards and centuries-old traditions. It was here, in this quiet countryside, that a young boy named Franco Casalone first became aware of the plant that would define his whole life. His grandfather was a farmer, a man who knew the land intimately. He grew crops for food, grew crops for industry, and grew crops for medicine. Among the rows of wheat and vines, young Franco noticed another crop, hemp. "No, why do you grow these plants?" Franco once asked, watching his grandfather's hands gently inspect the tall green stalks. "Because it's useful," the old man replied, his voice filled with the wisdom of generations. "Hemp gives us rope, paper, medicine, but now they want to take it away." Franco didn't understand at first. Why would anyone outlaw something so natural? But as the years passed on, he watched as police cracked down on hemp farmers, treating them like criminals. His grandfather's fields, once abundant with hemp, were replaced with more acceptable crops. The world was changing and Franco didn't like it. Something inside him awoke that day, a question that would follow him for life. Why was cannabis being demonized while alcohol, a substance known to destroy lives, was legal? Chapter 2. Awakening to the truth, 1980s to 1990s. By the time he was a teenager, Franco was already questioning everything. The 1980s were a time of strict prohibition. Cannabis was seen as a gateway drug, and anyone who dared defend it was labelled a criminal or a fool. But Franco wasn't afraid. He started reading everything he could about cannabis, its history, its medicinal properties, and the real reason behind its prohibition. One name kept appearing: Jack Herer. Herer's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, exposed the lies behind the cannabis prohibition. This was one of the first books I read as a child. It confirmed everything Franco had suspected. This was not about public health, but about power, control, and industry monopolies. In 1985, something happened that changed his life forever. Franco met Jack Herer in person. The two had long discussions about cannabis activism, industrial hemp, and the battle to reclaim the truth. Jack's words lit a fire in Franco. If you want to fight prohibition, you need to educate, you need to write, you need to travel. This plant belongs to humanity. Franco knew what he had to do. Chapter 3. Becoming the guru of hemp, the 90s to the 2000s. Determined to spread the truth, Franco moved to the Netherlands, the European mecca of cannabis culture. Here he studied the science of cultivation, working alongside expert growers in Amsterdam's booming cannabis scene, and he learned about genetics, breeding and resin extraction, and became a professional at it. But more than anything, he wanted to educate. So he wrote Cannabis, a book detailing the economic and medical potential of cannabis. Cannapio, he wrote as well, a cultivation manual that became essential reading for Italian growers. His book spread like wildfire. Franco became known as Galeno, the guru of hemp. Back home, Italian prohibitionists hated him, but the cannabis community, they worshipped him, and I really looked up to him. Chapter 4, The Strain Hunter Searching for Lost Genetics, 2000s to 2010s. But Franco wasn't satisfied with writing. He knew that modern cannabis strains were losing their original strength. Hybrid breeding had diluted the purity of landrace strains, the original untouched cannabis genetics cultivated by ancient farmers. So he packed his bags and left. His journey took him to India, Nepal and the Himalayas, where I was talking about, the last places where true landrace strains still thrived. The Himalayas, the sacred mountains of cannabis. In a small village in Parvati Valley, India, Franco met the charas makers. These men did not use scissors to trim their buds. Instead, they used their hands, rubbing the live cannabis plants to produce a dark, sticky resin, the legendary charas. Franco spent years living among them, in a cave, learning the ancient art of hand-rubbed hashish. He saw things no Western grower had seen. Purple, blue and even red-coloured land races, cannabis plants that could survive extreme mountain weather, strains that had never been hybridized, pure cannabis genetics, untouched by human greed. These experiences changed him and me alike. Franco was no longer just a writer, he was a historian, a scientist and a preserver of cannabis culture. Chapter 5, The Fight for Legalization, 2010s to 2020s. Returning to Italy, Franco had one final mission: to make cannabis legal. He joined Asocanapa, an organization fighting for industrial hemp. He worked with the Tara Association to push for medical cannabis access. But in 2020, the government struck back. An arrest warrant was issued against him, accusing him of running an underground cannabis lab. The truth? Franco was growing for personal medical use and educational purposes. They had no evidence, they had no case, and Franco was released. But the message was clear. The system feared him. Chapter 6, The Final Days and the Legacy of this Beautiful Soul. On September 29th, 2023, Franco Casalone passed away from complications after kidney surgery. His death shook the cannabis world, but his legacy is immortal. His books are still read to this day. His techniques are still used to this day. His fight continues to this day through all of us. This video isn't just a tribute, it's a lesson. Franco Casalone wasn't just a grower, he was a true friend, a genuine person and so underlyingly loving, a protector of cannabis's history. If you truly love this plant, you'll carry on his fight. Don't forget about him, buy his books, learn from one of if not the best in the world. Missed and never ever forgotten. Rest in peace, legend. Before I forget, I want you to go and buy these books if you're really serious about cannabis. To be honest, you would be surprised at how many people claim to be in this industry yet haven't read one book. Yes, Aurora, you too. Everybody. Nobody reads the basics to understand the complexities. And this is the reason we face what we do today in the cannabis with all these hybrids. I'm this close to opening something myself for you all and putting all these things in this book into practice. I wish others did the same, as I wouldn't feel the need to fill this gap for everyone in the medical UK cannabis scene. But after 8 months of buying, I'm still unhappy overall. These books, if every breeder just read 5 of these, they would be a professional and not make schoolboy errors like we see. Like what we see today, no strength, no terps. These are books that everyone who's serious in the industry should have read before they even came onto the industry, to be frank. Then again, that's just the way I do things. Learn first and then apply. Not rush and use everyone as the mistake experiment. Please everyone, go out and buy these. It's for you, not for me. They're not my books. I've already read them. Number 1 book I think you should read is The Emperor Wears No Clothes, 1985, Jack Herer. Why read it? Well, it's the Bible of cannabis legislation. Documents the true history of hemp and its suppression by big industries, i.e. oil, paper and the pharmaceutical industries. It proves that cannabis was criminalized for corporate greed and not public safety. Marijuana Reconsidered. That's another book I want you to buy. 1971, Dr. Lester Greenspoon. Why read it? Well, it's written by a Harvard psychiatrist, Dr. Lester Greenspoon, who originally set out to discredit cannabis but ended up supporting it. Explores the scientific and cultural aspects of cannabis, and one of the earliest books to debunk prohibitionist lies. 3. The Great Book of Hashish, 1979, Lawrence Cherniak. Why read it? A deep dive into hash-making traditions around the world, includes rare photos of charas, Afghan hash and Moroccan kif production. A must-read for anyone interested in hash and cannabis concentrates. 4. The Marijuana Growers Guide, 1969, Ed Rosenthal and Mel Frank. Why read it? Well, it's one of the first true cannabis cultivation guides, written by two legendary cannabis growers who pioneered modern techniques. Covers indoor and outdoor, strain selection and advanced techniques. 5. The Cannabis Encyclopedia, 2015, Jorge Cervantes. Why read it? It's the most detailed modern guide to cannabis cultivation. It includes over 2,000 images covering everything from cloning to harvesting. Jorge Cervantes, one of the most respected names in cannabis growing. 6. Cannabis, A History, 2003, Martin Booth. Why read it? Well, it's a historical look at cannabis from ancient use to modern prohibition. Covers how different cultures have used cannabis medicinally and spiritually, and essential for those who want to understand the global history of cannabis. 7. Hashish by Robert Connell Clark, 1972. Why read it? Well, it's a legendary book on hash making traditions worldwide. It describes how traditional hash is made in Morocco, Lebanon, Nepal, even Afghanistan. Clark is one of the most respected cannabis researchers of all time. Shattered Lives, Portraits from America's Drug War. It's not as important, but it's still a good read. 1998. Mickey Norris and Chris Conrad and Virginia Resner. Why read it? Well, it documents the human cost of cannabis prohibition. It includes real-life stories of people sentenced to decades in prison for cannabis-related crimes, and shows why legislation is a human rights issue. 9. The book called Hemp and the Marijuana Conspiracy, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, updated 90s edition. Jack Herer, again, why read it? Well, the updated and expanded version of Jack Herer's original work includes new evidence about the role of the government in cannabis prohibition, and it's a must-have for any serious cannabis historian or anyone who cares about the plant enough. 10 would be to do with medicine, and it's called Green Gold, The Tree of Life, Marijuana in Magic and Religion, by Chris Bennett and Lynn Osborne. Why read it? Well, it explores the spiritual and religious history of cannabis and shows how cannabis was used in ancient religions from Hinduism to early Christianity. A unique book for those interested in the mystical side of cannabis, like I was for many years. 11. Marijuana Botany, 1981, by Robert Connell Clark. Again, why read it? It's one of the best scientific books on cannabis genetics, breeding and evolution, in my opinion. Essential for serious cannabis growers or breeders or anyone interested in the plant. Covers how different environments affect cannabis potency and yield. And really a must-have. 12. The Big Book of Buds, series 2001 to 2010. Ed Rosenthal. Why? Why read it? A collection of books featuring hundreds of cannabis strains, including strains, reviews, effects and growing tips. Perfect for anyone interested in the diversity of cannabis genetics. Hemp, Lifeline to the Future. Chris Conrad. Why read it? Focuses on the industrial uses of hemp. Shows how hemp can replace plastic, fuel and even concrete. A great book for those who want to understand the economic potential of hemp. Book 14, Cannabis Pharmacy, The Practical Guide to Medical Marijuana, 2014, Michael Bax. Why read it? A modern guide to cannabis medicine. Well, it explains how cannabis treats different medical conditions, and it's a book that I love. Essential for anyone interested in medical marijuana. 15, The Science of Marijuana, 1999, by Leslie L. Iverson. Why read it? A scientific breakdown of all cannabinoids and how they work. Written by a leading neuroscientist. It debunks myths about cannabis being harmful to the brain, and we wouldn't have the information we have about cannabinoids without that particular person. which book should you read first? For legislation history, probably The Emperor Wears No Clothes, the original, then the extended version. For cultivation, probably the Cannabis Encyclopedia by Jorge Cervantes. Marijuana Botany by Robert Connell Clark. And for hash extracts, the Great Book of Hashish by Lawrence Cherniak, and Hashish by Robert Connell Clark. For medicine, we've got Cannabis Pharmacy, and for religion and mystical and medicine, we've got Green Gold, the Tree of Life. I just want to say rest in peace to all the legendary cannabis advocates who passed away on behalf of us and fighting for us. This is a tribute to all the pioneers who shaped cannabis history. These legends fought for legislation, preservation, research and cultivation, leaving behind a lasting impact on the cannabis world. Honour their names and ensure their legacies live on. Franco Casalone, the guru of hemp, Italian cannabis activist, author and strain hunter, and a good friend. He wrote Canapio and Canapa, essential books for growers and activists, spent years in India and Nepal preserving rare cannabis land races, and he is a true connoisseur of charas and traditional hash making techniques. He fought for legislation in Italy and across the world, advocating for medical cannabis and CBD. His knowledge and his activism paved the way for Italy's cannabis movement. I want to shout out to Franco Casalone, who, passed away in 2017, and he was a big part of Greenhouse Seeds and what came to be known as the Strain Hunters. The Greenhouse Seed Company misses him dearly. He travelled the world preserving rare landrace cannabis strains as well. His strain hunting expeditions took him to Malawi, Congo, Colombia, Jamaica, Africa and beyond.
You know inside yourself when you spark up a joint that it should not be illegal. Yeah. You know it in your heart.
Passed away from cerebral malaria in the Congo while on a cannabis expedition, probably by those released mosquitoes, sadly. He helped document and preserve and protect cannabis genetics worldwide. Jack Herer, the Emperor of Hemp. He wrote The Emperor Wears No Clothes, the most influential book on cannabis history. He exposed the industrial conspiracy against hemp. He's one of the most important activists for cannabis legislation. Strain Connection, Jack Herer, one of the most awarded cannabis strains in history. A powerful sativa hybrid with cerebral and uplifting effects. His book is still the foundation of cannabis activism today. Dr. Lester Grinspoon, the Harvard doctor who defended cannabis, he wrote Marijuana Reconsidered in '71, one of the first books debunking anti-cannabis propaganda. Originally he was against it, but his scientific research changed his mind. He became one of the biggest scientific voices supporting cannabis legislation. There's a strain that connection with that too, the Dr. Grinspoon by Barney's Farm, a 100% pure sativa that has very oddly shaped buds, so unique that it can be done outside without being seen by things flying overhead, and that's why that was created, to look so different outside, not having the telltale giveaway hand signs. This was a 100% pure sativa named in honor of Dr. Grinspoon's contributions to cannabis science. It's a very, very long flowering time, more than 110 days, but produces one of the most cerebral and psychedelic highs ever. Legacy, really. Without his research, medical cannabis might still be ignored today. Neville Schoenmaker, the king of cannabis seeds, founder of the Seed Bank, the first cannabis seed bank in the whole world. He created some of the most famous sativa dominant strains in history. His genetics are the foundation of many, many cannabis strains. Neville's Haze, Is a pure haze hybrid, extremely psychedelic and long flowering, a parent strain to super silver haze and amnesia haze. Again, a legacy. Without Neville, modern cannabis breeding wouldn't exist. And shout out to Arjan as well. Arjan, without Arjan, we wouldn't see Arjan's haze and all these other strains. So he had a big part to play with that too.
Part will get legalized. And slowly, look in Italy now, you have a few plants. 10 years ago, you go in prison. So, step by step.
He's still alive, so that's a great thing. Dennis Perron, the father of medical marijuana, a Vietnam War veteran who became a cannabis activist. He co-wrote California's Proposition 215, which legalized medical marijuana in 1996. He ran the San Francisco Cannabis Buyers Club, America's first cannabis dispensary. Again, legacy. He helped pioneer medical marijuana legislation in the US. Raphael McCallum, the father of THC research, the scientist who first isolated and discovered THC in '64. His research proved cannabis had medicinal properties and led to the discovery of endocannabinoid system. Legacy, really. Without him, McCallum, we wouldn't understand cannabinoids today at all. Lawrence Ringo, the godfather of CBD strains, passed in 2014, legendary breeder behind CBD rich strains like Harley Sue and Sao Tsunami. He helped shift the industry towards CBD medicine. Again, a legacy. His work helped legitimize CBD as a medical compound. Brownie Mary, in 1999, she was the angel of AIDS patients. She gave cannabis-infused brownies to AIDS patients in San Francisco. She helped push for medical marijuana legislation. In the 80s, she was a true humanitarian who proved cannabis was medicine. Eddie Lepp, 2021, the outlaw grower who fought for the people, a legendary California grower and activist. He served 8 years in federal prison for growing medical cannabis. Close friend of Jack Herer, Tommy Chong, and Dennis Perron. Legacy again, one of the most fearless fighters for cannabis freedom to date. Robert Cornell Clark, the hashish historian, wrote marijuana botany and other essential books. One of the leading researchers on cannabis breeding and genetics. His books remain essential reading for cannabis breeders, so again a legacy. Mishka Selinger Chatelain, the French queen of cannabis. She wrote Cannabis, a guide to growing and using marijuana. One of Europe's first female cannabis activists. Truly a legacy. She helped push for cannabis legislation in France. Shout out to Arjan again for Arjan's haze and for greenhouse seeds. Arjan has gone all over the world with his team, and after they leave, guess what? That country usually legalizes cannabis. So shout out to Arjan and Franco Loja, and rest in peace. And these legends fought for cannabis. Some were jailed, some were exiled, but they never stopped. Their work gave us the freedoms we have today. If you light up, if you grow or you medicate, do it in their honor. Rest in power, legends. This tribute list honors the most important figures in cannabis history. Some fought in the streets, some in the labs, some in the courts, but all of them fought for us and changed the world for what it is today. Stay lifted, stay free. Peace out. Before we close this tribute, I want to give an honorary mention to Mila Jansen, widely known as the Hash Queen. Mila has been a pioneer in hash making technology and responsible for revolutionizing home hash production with really innovative extraction methods. Her contributions to us as the people: she brought us the Pollinator, the first mechanical dry sift hash making machine, allowing cannabis enthusiasts to easily separate trichomes from plant material at home. She brought us the Isolator, one of the first water hash extraction systems, making bubble hash, also known as ice water hash, accessible to home growers and professionals alike. And she brought us home freezer hash making systems for hash extraction using home freezers, small devices that went in the freezer, making it more efficient and accessible for small scale people. Why she's a legend? She spent years in India and Nepal learning traditional charas making techniques. She brought those techniques back to Europe as well and improved them using modern technology. Her work helped popularize hash making worldwide, from traditional hand-rubbed hash to modern solventless extractions. She wrote Mila, How I Became the Hash Queen, documenting her journey through cannabis culture and innovation. Final words on Mila Jansen. Although she's still with us, Mila Jansen is a true cannabis legend whose impact on hash production is undeniable. Her innovations have changed the way hash is made globally, making it easier, purer and more accessible to absolutely everyone. Respect to the Hash Queen.